You know that feeling where you know a game is going to be good, even though you have only just picked up the controller? That is exactly what Cairn made me feel. As soon as I started climbing that first wall, I was already sold. I don't even know how to fully describe that feeling. It's like the controls made sense, the responsiveness is there, and you can already see how it's going to get harder. I think that all great games can be broken down into two categories, complex and simple. A complex game wants you to learn a variety of things that all work together, while a simple one may only have a handful of mechanics but wants you to master them. Think about it this way. What keeps a game interesting? To me, it's being regularly challenged and forced to improve. This can come from a wide array of different mechanics that need to be learned and put together, or it can come from a single mechanic that gets harder and harder to perform throughout the game. Of these two categories, Cairn falls into the latter. It really is as simple as you think it is. When it comes down to what makes this game tick, it's just moving one limb at a time, but learning how to do it the right way is the challenge. You play as Ava, a professional climber who has set her sights on a mountain peak that is yet to be conquered by anyone. Kami. There really isn't much more to it. She wants to be the first to complete this climb, and she is also willing to put everything else that matters to her aside to get it done. I'll come back around to explain that later, but all you need to know for now is that there isn't anything forcing her to do this. The only reason is that she wants to.
First human to set foot on the summit of Kami.
Yeah, sure.
Before we get into anything too serious, let's go over how you actually play. The controls in Cairn are incredibly natural. When you move the analog stick, it'll automatically choose which limb will move. There is also a manual override if you need it. Once you are happy, you can press the grab button to take hold. Because you don't need to target the limb you want to move, it creates a very natural sense of movement. Most of the time, the limb you want will be the limb that moves. Sometimes it selects the wrong one, so you need to put it back and use the manual selector. I found that only happened if I needed to make a very specific set of movements. And even when it does happen, the manual override is also really easy to use. The basic input makes climbing feel easy and fun, but just because it feels easy doesn't mean that this is an easy game. This is because there are no automatic saves. You can only save at campsites, so falling isn't just an annoyance, it's a massive step back in progress. To make this a little easier, you can stick a piton into the wall. This is like a checkpoint. You hook into it and it'll catch you when you fall, but you can't just use your pitons all of the time because you have a limited supply and need to keep enough to make sure you can reach the summit. There are other factors like chalk, which briefly improves your grip, or different buffs that can give you a short boost, but all of them work together to create a seamless climbing experience. The simple controls aren't the only reason why this feels so good to play. There are a lot of small things that add to the overall experience. I'm just going to go through what I found to be the most notable in no particular order. When climbing, you can put your hand or foot anywhere. It doesn't have to be in a solid position, but you will start to tremble a lot faster if you just put it against the flat wall. Now, when placing, there is some leeway when grabbing onto a ledge or placing your foot in a small hold. If you are close enough to a good hold, there is a small pull that will put it in the right place even if you were slightly off. This may not sound like much, but when you have an entire mountain to climb, this tiny amount of magnetism makes a huge difference. It allows you to climb faster because you don't have to spend so much time trying to place your hand in the exact position that'll trigger a good grip. Another way that lets you climb faster is extending your reach. You can't make your limbs longer or do anything weird like that, although sometimes Ava seems like she may have superhuman strength and flexibility. She is limited to the length of her arms and legs. This is where overreaching comes in. Let's say you are reaching for your next handhold, but you just can't make it. At first, your hand will stop moving, but if you continue to push in that direction, she will automatically release one of her legs and push with the other. This allows you to cover the gap faster. You don't have to go back, manually release the leg, then only reach with your hand again. This is just another way that the gameplay has been made smoother. Falling off of the wall is going to happen a lot. In the end, this is a game about climbing, and so your only concern is falling. Most of the time you will fall because you put yourself in a bad position. You can tell when you're not in a good hold because Ava's breathing will get louder and her limbs will begin to shake. If you aren't able to fix your posture, then you will fall. Those of you who watch this channel regularly will know that I usually disable controller vibration. I think that most of the time it doesn't really add to the gameplay. But Cairn is in the rare few games that uses it excellently. Your limbs are synced to the vibration, meaning that as soon as they begin to tremble, so does the controller. This makes climbing feel so much more immersive. You can feel her stress through your hands, and this makes you stress, because if you fall, you have to climb all the way back up again. It works really well in tandem with the other indicators. It's not a random addition of vibration, it's deliberate and well placed. The last point I want to cover in this section is the crunch. It's great to have a game that plays easily, but having responsive feedback is just as important. I spoke about how the vibration adds value, but that's only half of it. Placing your hand in a bad position doesn't make much sound, but if you place it in a good spot, there is a slight gripping noise. This sound can be softer or louder depending on the material, but it's still there. It's almost like an indicator to say, that's a strong hold. Higher up the mountain, you will encounter ice walls. These are the perfect example of audio feedback. There is a light tapping sound when you try to hold against the flat, but there is a super satisfying crunch when you dig your foot into a solid hold. These 4 points are just a few of the things that make this experience so addictive. I haven't had any game give me the Tetris effect since Tetris. I know that all the Tetris fans out there are going to know exactly what I'm talking about, but for those who aren't super nerds for the falling block game like myself, the Tetris effect is basically when you play a game so much that you begin to see it in your dreams or thoughts. While I was busy with it, I was seeing Cairn in my dreams, moving one limb at a time, hearing that satisfying crunch, and slowly climbing an unending mountain. All I wanted to do was get back on that wall and continue climbing. I know I said that this is a simple game, and it is, but this is where I'm going to backtrack and say that there's a little more to it. Apart from climbing, there is also a survival element. You need to find food and herbs around the mountain, then cook them at campsites. It's not incredibly deep, but you do need to keep track of your hunger, thirst, and temperature. These do play a vital role, as running out of any of these mid-climb is almost certain death. Luckily, you can always hook into a piton and open your bag to have a snack. So this isn't just a climbing game. It's a climbing game where your time is limited, not by a clock, but by how long your resources will last. There are a lot of places where you can refill your bag on the way up. So if you are only going up, it shouldn't really be an issue. But there is one last part of this game that ties the survival element in really well: exploration. Going up is the way to the summit. That's how you finish the game. But if you feel like exploring all the other points of interest, you need to watch your hunger. I had gone off the beaten track a few times, and all I found was some food or water. I didn't really think it was worth it. Then I came across this cave, and when I saw that ledge at the top, I knew that's where I wanted to be. This cave was particularly difficult because it is hard rock. This means you can't place pitons to catch your fall. After way too many attempts, I finally reached the top. I wasn't expecting much aside from some supplies, but instead I found a pair of glowing gloves. This was the first time that I had found something that resembled a permanent upgrade. It didn't take up space in the bag and could be toggled at any time. All they did was provide some light, but it felt really cool. It gave me a reason to explore. Now, I have gone through all what you need to know for me to talk about the best part of Cairn. It's not any specific thing in the game, but it's how it can make you feel. Completing sections in this game is not quick. This game is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Sometimes I reach the next ledge, and I needed to take a break because I was mentally exhausted. The threat of falling is always there. You could lose your progress at any moment. There's even a reminder that comes up to tell you how long it's been since your last save. On top of that, you don't know when you might find food again. Climbing in this game is stressful, and that is exactly why it works. Each time you save at a campsite, you look up to the next ledge, and it's even further away than the one you just reached. You may think that you can't do it, but you know that you have to. It pushes you to your limits again and again. You will fall often, you will die often, and you will need to repeat sections often. All of this repetition is practice. Eventually, you will approach the next ledge. You get this rush of adrenaline, and you start to think that this is the one, you can make it. But the feeling you get when you finally pull yourself up, your hands are bloody, and you have no food or pittance, but you've finally done it. You can finally take a breather. All that adrenaline converts into relief. Really, it is an amazing feeling. And I haven't had a game give me that sense of achievement in a long time. It is in those moments where Cairn truly shines. Climbing may be the heart of Cairn, but it also comes with a storyline. Ava is a professional climber whose goal is to reach the summit of Mount Kami. This is her only goal, so much so that she doesn't bother to respond to any of her messages. It's somewhat understandable because of how daunting her task is, but it may be one of the first games where the main character is completely unrelatable, for me at least. Not just because I'm terrified of heights, but because she completely ignores both her partner and her publisher. She makes it very clear that this mountain is something she needs to do, and nothing else matters until it is done. There are other people making the climb too, but she's just as rude to them, even though they are on the same journey as her. She's kinda just an asshole. She doesn't do what you think she should, and you feel bad for those around her. I think that makes it more interesting. What I really liked was that the cutscenes act as little mental breaks. As I mentioned before, climbing is tiring, so being able to sit back and rest your mind while watching some of the story unfold felt pretty good. Overall, I think it changed a good game into a special experience. I feel like I keep saying that every game I play is one of the best, but there are just so many good games coming out. Cairn was able to trigger the Tetris effect for me, and for that alone, I congratulate it. Even if I play a game a lot, it doesn't mean it'll get stuck in my head like this. The way the climbing mechanic has been designed is so ridiculously addictive. Even though I've already reached the summit, I just want to be on the wall again. But the real showstopper is how it makes you feel. The ability to instantly strike fear into you as you make a bad move, and to swing that into relief as you slam a piton in at the last moment is truly excellent. Cairn is an outstanding game, and I think that everyone should give it a try. Hey, if you made it this far in the video, let me know how you felt about it by either giving it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And if you want more content like this, be sure to subscribe, as it really supports the channel. Thanks for watching.